We have completed the services section, which basically means we have to go to our next section. So as per our layout, our next section is the frequently asked questions section. So this is a little more interesting section. We've got HTML, CSS, and we will use some JavaScript to basically, what we say, add a little bit of interactivity. What I'm looking to do is that we're going to have a few questions, and then we're going to have answers to that questions. You will see the answers only if you click that questions. That's what we're trying to achieve here. So this way it makes it a little more interesting. There is a little more interaction to it. So let's get started. Now the next section is going to be of white background. We're going to have container. It's going to be a bit similar to the look and feel wise to the about us section. So let's go here. Let's minimize this and create a section. Perfect. We're gonna have a standard margin container, margin top of 5. Perfect. That is done. Now let's create the section title. Dev class section title. Let's have the h2. We call this frequently asked questions. Let's have the padding. That's a little bit of spacing that we give. That is done. Now let's have the questions. So I'm gonna have a parent div, call this FAQ, and inside this I'm gonna have a question h3 and an answer p. I know this is a dental clinic. What questions people ask? Let's say, how do I get an appointment? It's one of the questions. Cool. And people, there will be some answers. The doctors might have some answers to how to actually get an appointment. I'm just going to copy some dummy text and paste it here from lorem ipsum. Cool. That's a dummy answer. We've got a dummy question, we've got a dummy answer. Perfect. Now let's give it one thing is that the question has to be clickable. This is an h3 is not clickable, so let's add an anchor tag. So I'm going to add an anchor tag to this. Now let's give class names to question and answer. Perfect. Let's now just refresh. So we've got I'm going to zoom it a little bit. So you have got the question, you have got the answer. Let's try to do some styling. There's a whole new section, so let's go down and have the FAQ styles. So CSS. Perfect. Now we have got three things here. We've got an FAQ, then we've got a question, and then we've got the answer. Perfect. So the first thing I'll do is that I want this question to have the whole thing to have a background, so it stands out. So let's go and give a background color. We will give a color which is the blue that we used in the header. This is not going to have any transparency, so no need an RGB or something. We'll just directly give the hex code there. Perfect. Now we have given the color. So the next thing we have to do is that let's give a color which is white. Now for the anchor tag, the color might not have inherited because anchor tag is slightly different, so we'll have to give it specifically here again. We give it to the question as well. We've got the question, we've got the answer. I don't like this underline. Let's remove the text decoration of the anchor tag. None. Perfect. If you've got a question, we've got an answer. Let's give some spacing, So we already have some spacing classes. We will give an px of 2 and a py of 1. Py of 1. Perfect. Now we have a question, we have an answer. This thing's fine. Alright, and then I think we will give this class here maybe. Yeah, so we have got it on the question and on the answer, so we have it really nice and clean. I like this is the one question. So what we should do is that this answer should be hidden and it should be visible only when somebody clicks the question. Perfect. So let's go to the answer and make the maximum height is equal to 0. So what does this do? So the maximum height, the thing is gone. Now sometimes there will be some sort of an overflow or something. In that case, to avoid that, we have to make overflow is equal to hidden. So this is necessary, so there's no overflow and we have it all neat and nice. Now let's repeat this question a couple of more times. We're gonna have more than one question. Let's assume that we have like 4 questions. So we have 4 questions here, and I don't like it so together. Let's give some margin here. I'm gonna give a margin bottom of 0.5 rem. Great, it looks nice. I actually have got 5 questions here, and when I click this I want the answers to be shown. Perfect. Now let's go to do that particular click and then the answer coming thing. We have to do the JavaScript. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to come here. The first thing we have to do is that we have to get all the questions. So we're going to do is that we are going to write var quest and get all the dot get elements by id. How will we get all these things together? We can go by class name. So all the questions has the same class name, which is question. Perfect. So when we do this, all 5 questions would have come to our this particular array. This will help us to basically, if you want to see, I'm just gonna do an alert just to show you that we have got all the questions. So I'm gonna do the question and I'm gonna do dot length, length. So what this will do is that this will tell us that we've got 4 questions, you see. So imagine I actually have one more question. So when I refresh, it will say 5 questions. So this page has 5 questions. Perfect, we got that. The next thing we have to do is that we have to go through all the questions. So we have 5 questions, right? Now 5 questions means it will be like this. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 5. Since the index numbering starts from 0, we basically have 0 to 4 indexes of questions. So let's loop through these questions. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to set var I. Alright, I'm going to creating a variable, then I'm going to loop it through. So 4. Alright, so variable is equal to I is equal to, sorry, I don't want this autofill, I'm just gonna write myself 4. Alright, I is equal to 0. Perfect, our first index is 0. Alright, now we have to make sure that this total length is less than the number of questions we have. So quest dot length. Perfect, and the last value is going to be the increment. So this would basically let us go through all the questions one by one. Alright, now what we have to do once we go through, let's say we're going through this questions, and let's get to a question. So this is first question. Alright, this is the first question. So how do we know when somebody clicks on it? So we have to add an event listener. Alright, and then we are going to call this event listener which is click. Alright, what happens when somebody clicks on it? We want a function to happen. So let's create that function. Perfect. So somebody is going and clicking a question. So we will come to know that here, because this one. Now we have the question as an anchor tag, meaning it's normally when somebody clicks on it, it is supposed to take you somewhere. So that is a default action. We don't want that to happen. Instead, we want the answer to be revealed. So let's prevent this default action. I'm just going to copy and paste here. So when somebody is clicking on the question, the default action will be first prevented. Then let's define a custom action, what exactly we want us to do. So somebody is clicking on a question. So we want to find the answer for that question. So it is here. So the answer is next, just beside it. So we can get the answer which is beside it by this function. Next element sibling. This will basically give you the answer for that question. Alright, and then what we have to do, we have to check if there is any height given to this particular. So I'm gonna go here, right? I'll show you something. So if you see, Where is the answer? Oh, the answer is not here. So let me just fill it and then later I will show you. First thing we're going to check whether the answer has any style. Answer dot style dot max height. We are checking whether it has any max height. Alright. If it has any max height, what we want to do is that we have to remove the max height. Alright. So we're going to go to answer dot style dot max height and we will set it to null, which will basically remove the max height. So if it at the moment there is no max height, so when there is no max height we have to add it. So let's add it. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna add a maximum height. So what should be the maximum height? The maximum height should be the maximum height of the answer. So how will we find the maximum height of the answer? We have a function for that called scroll height. We will find the scroll height and we'll add pixel at the end of it. Perfect. So now I'm gonna refresh it here. See, so what is happening? I'm gonna refresh here. So if you notice, now when I have clicked it, the maximum height, initially we had it at 0, that is overwritten by 100 pixel. Alright, now when I click again, this is gone and this overwriting is gone, which basically means that the maximum height has come back to 0. Perfect. Now one other thing I don't like is that when I click, it's immediately coming down like this. Instead of that, I would like to have a slow, like a little bit of transition, some little effect. So I'm going to give a transition here. Let's see what this looks like. Just for I like that. That slow transition, I like this. This is what I would like to have. So when you click, it slowly scrolls down, and then when you click again, it slowly scrolls up. Perfect. So this section is now complete. How does it look on a mobile? We have got 5 questions. You click, you get the answer. 5 questions, you get the answer. Perfect. So our FAQ section is also complete.